When I realized that a lot of the things that Trump said, he was basically making fun of a political process that had become a joke. I started to really appreciate his approach more than find it disagreeable.
I've never voted, JD, is because I'm just incredibly cynical and think that American politics can't be fixed. Obviously, you think you can make a difference. You can improve the situation. Why?
A good friend of mine who was an important person, and actually, I kind of grew up a Christian, lost my faith, and then returned to it later in life. Once told me that despair is a sin, and I think I'm exactly like you, man. I tend to think of our process as hopelessly broken. The only people who do it have some major character flaw, and so it just becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy of a broken process, enriching people instead of solving the country's problems. But then I try to take that to heart, that despair really is a sin. And if you give up on things, then maybe you're not just giving your country over to the wolves, but you're also kind of, in an important way, I think, committing something that most of us don't want to commit, which is just giving up. And I decided that at the end of the day, maybe our country does have some really unsolvable problems, but you don't really know if you can be a positive force until you make a run at it.
How do you handle the Trump phenomenon? And I ask that because I feel like I have some friends, black friends, that agreed with a lot of Trump's policies, but found his personality so off-putting, they just, and particularly their wives found his personality so off-putting that they would have damn near had to destroy their homes to support Donald Trump. And so I'm someone that I don't find Trump's policies off-putting. I don't really find his approach off-putting, but I do think his approach limits his ability to reach everybody. I think his time has passed. I think he served a purpose and woke people's eyes and minds up to the reality of how swampy and corrupt our political system is. But I just don't, if he's the face of the Republican Party, I'm not sure if Republicans are going to be heard in the way they could be heard if someone like yourself or Ron DeSantis or Josh Hawley were more the face of the Republican Party.
It's funny because I think I understand your friends because, 5-6 years ago, I was pretty critical of some of Trump's rhetoric and became a fan of his as I watched him in office. I think a lot of the response that people have to Trump is that they ignore that a lot of times he's joking. Right. I think that, you got to have a little bit of a sense of humor about this stuff. And I recognize some people don't. But this was a big thing for me is when I realized that a lot of the things that Trump said, he was basically making fun of a political process that had become a joke. I started to really appreciate his approach more than find it disagreeable. And that's a big part of my own political transformation over the last 5 or 6 years. But, I guess the way that I think about the whole Trump phenomenon is that it revealed a couple of things, right? One is that it revealed how incredibly broken a lot of our country is, right? I mean, we had 30 or 40 years of bipartisan leaders on both sides basically saying, it's fine that we ship our entire manufacturing base off to China so long as we get a lot of cheap garbage from the Chinese. Doesn't matter if millions of middle class, primarily men, lose their jobs. And I think Trump really blew up that consensus, and that will be the long-term legacy of Trump, whether he serves another term as president or not. People will remember him as the guy who ended the consensus on globalization and the effect that it had on this country. But the other thing that I'd say about Trump in his defense is he revealed how corrupt the Republican establishment was.